This conference will now be recorded.
Shop manager Saturday. They'll do the ceremony. I have quotes from Ricky Bobby. Crystal do the ceremony. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to open the meeting of the May 8th Town of Ennis meeting with roll call of the council. Commissioner Selly. Here. Way.
Here.
Meehan.
Here.
Abernathy.
Here.
And Hardy.
Here.
All right. If we could all please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the April 10th meeting minutes.
Couple of comments first. I believe Commissioner Abernathy's name is misspelled in the first section.
Okay.
I believe that in section number 9, subsection A, there is a pronoun error there regarding you. It should be she and not he. Also in section 9, I requested permission to speak with the county commissioners and the sheriff, and it just says county commissioners. And then in section 12, it says Jim Jarvis, Javis, and it should be Jarbis.
Okay.
And with those changes, I would motion to approve.
I'll second it for the record.
Any other comment? All right. Selly.
Aye.
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 All right. And approval of the April 24th work session minutes.
In the next to the last section, alcohol is misspelled. It's ALCOLOH, and it should be obviously ALCOHOL. It's under the section on the special permit.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any other corrections, additions?
Aye.
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 Okay. On to department reports. Mitch, will you give us a summary from the library's board meeting?
Absolutely.
There's a program going on down at the library this evening. That's why Karen couldn't attend.
Yes. So for the library meeting, we discussed very briefly Karen's reviews that are due. I'm the holdup there. And then we discussed Karen's participation in the children's programs because one of her employees was off. We discussed at length the amount of budget that she has set aside for a new roof and decided that we needed to get a new estimate for that because she was going off an estimate from 5 years ago. And she was estimating $12,000 to replace the roof on that building. And we came to a consensus that prices have changed. So she's going to look into getting a quote. She also talked to the architect that built the Madison Valley Bank building about increasing the size of the building. And he told us that in no way can we go up. He suggested adding on to the back of the building and possibly adding a basement under that portion that's added on. This will give them the space that they need to expand, but the building, because of the water table and the foundation, is not, it cannot go up.
Up. Okay.
We discussed a little bit about Friends of the Library and expanding their participation in supplementing the budget for the library. We talked about their jazz concert that's coming up pretty soon. These were just discussions with no decisions were made. But that was basically it. The library's humming right along and getting very busy. So, yeah, that was it.
All right.
Did Karen mention anything about tree removal?
Very briefly, she was going to have, Eric's already looked at it, but she was going to have an arborist come by. She was referred to one by the state librarian, and have him take a look at those trees and whether or not, and the only input from the board was from the arborist, we need to know what life expectancy on those particular trees are, but one of them does definitely need to come down. It's not stable.
And Karen's looking into a grant program. I think Eric
Correct.
found
I
it.
think she's already found the grant to cover the cost of the removal of the tree.
That's like I think it's a $10,000 grant, 25% match. But I mean, I don't know. We might have to come up with some kind of a budget meeting about that. I don't know how quick that needs to be done, or if it could be scheduled after the
July.
budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just a thank you to Karen and the library staff. The planning board held their business growth policy meeting there last night. And it was well attended, very informational. And Karen helped set them up with us, and we greatly appreciate the opportunity to use the library.
And I'm sure they've got summer reading program in full swing.
She didn't mention it, but I'm assuming so.
Yeah.
Can I hop in here and talk about adding on to that building? We have a manhole pretty much right behind the chess set that's out there right now. It shoots over to Biney's and then goes over to First Street, North First, sorry. Just so you know. I hate to be that guy, but.
Well, it was just a preliminary. He did it as a favor. So it wasn't a true estimate. It was just a opinion.
Okay, no, I just was letting you know. That's all.
Thank you.
Well, that's a good thing to factor in. So if it's maybe,
I'll mention that to her.
Yeah,
The next
okay.
meeting. Yeah.
So is
logistically, that might change the plan entirely. If we can't go up and we can't go back.
Right? You can go down. That's what you said. So, which
Then
I
we're
understand
looking at
that
location.
but we'll have to look into that.
Okay, you
It's
have
so expensive at the cost of production.
the law enforcement written report. Any questions there? All right, Eric's online for verbal for his public works.
Yeah, I did not write anything down, but brief rundown of the month. When Lucas was here, we just concentrated on wrapping up jobs that was a 2-person job. We jetted, I don't know how many lines. We found 2 big clogs in our system doing this. So it was a good move. The generator at the North 40 was installed. Been working on job descriptions and such when I can, but we're just motoring along with summertime. Just so everybody knows, we're watching, and when I say everybody, I mean everybody in town. If somebody asks, so you can tell them, we're gonna watch this next week because it's supposed to rain pretty good, and then there'll be grading and magging at that time if it dries up. You know, we don't want it too dry, but we don't need it too wet. I think we're supposed to get 3 or 4 days of rain, something like that. And that's about it.
Maybe just, Eric, I wanted to thank you for riding me around on Tuesday. I've spent a reasonable amount of time in sewer and water plants. And the plants are very well maintained. They're clean. The equipment looks like it's really running efficiently. And, I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for all the hard work that you put in to keep our water and sewer issues at bay the best that you can. So thank you very much for that. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything else for Eric? All right.
Did a electrician get a hold of you regarding your?
Man, they're scheduled, Corey. Yeah, they're scheduled. That's something I forgot. Let's go ahead and get into that too. I kind of I don't want to say put it off, but other priorities have taken place over that office. But we're finally getting that moving. The electrician will be here next week to finish that up, and then from that, we'll be ready to go. I think I'm just going to insulate it myself and then give Corey a call. And that'll be that.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Susie submitted her written for zoning. Any questions there? All right. Any question on clerks? Ginger?
Any comment on the the audit? Right?
Yeah, Nikki and I have to finish it up tomorrow. There's 2 separate reports in there, and we were gonna work on that together and finish it up tomorrow. Then he said he'll do his last little bit, and then we'll have that report. But he wanted everything updated. As far as these reports that we're doing, one of them is called a management discussion and analysis report. So anyway, he's made time tomorrow, so we will get those wrapped up, and then we should have something back from him before too long.
Has the training with the girls on the bank reconciliations finished? Or?
We haven't had, with the time frame they've had, we haven't had a lot of time for training.
All the reconciliations caught up to through
August or April.
April.
Sorry.
I was like, wait a minute. No.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that's right. Yeah.
so we're all
So we're current.
up to after this set of claims then.
That we have questions on, and I'm digging back into those. I did go ahead and submit them to the state, with their knowledge that I'm looking and trying to find those numbers.
Your outages.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how material are the outages?
I always forget.
Material meaning,
I meant there,
if the
couple
if the
hundred?
transactions through the bank are, 100,000, is it 10%, 5%, 1%?
oh, we're looking at a couple $100.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're not huge.
214 was where we were at last. We were trying to hunt down. So we started we ended 1 year 214 short, and then we were ahead. We were over. Isn't that how it went? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but it
we're
was a
trying to
matter
figure
of
this
like
timing.
$7.
Yeah.
Has the town already paid for these services? For the contract for utilizing the,
The training?
uh-huh.
Yes.
Yes.
Is it going to be used and done within the fiscal year?
Yes. This fiscal year, yes. So I'll get a hold of them and see if they can make our next month's
That'd be great.
meeting, or at least online.
And the whole reason I asked for that, it keeps both of us,
All of us up to date.
well, not only up to date, but responsible for meeting our contracts, requirements.
I think that's all
'Cause
the
it's-
excitement. Some of the ARPA stuff.
Well, and it was on my report that I worked with Great West and there's an ARPA
There are ARPA
request
administrators.
in for funds,
For infrastructure.
Mhm.
right? I had a question from them and they are working on that of some prior work that was done that was not included. So I contacted them on that. And they are adding it.
And that's another one I may add to the next month's agenda, is them and an update now that we're through legislation, so that we can have that conversation on what funds we got, what the next plan is, because we're shooting for both the well and the tower. We're not going to be able to do both, so we're going to have to kind of get an update, invite the planning board and have that discussion. But I wanted to wait until it was all done and everything settled and all the signatures were on the paper to see what we got and what we didn't get. So, all right, claims.
Move to approve claims.
Second.
Any discussion, questions?
Yeah, car decals, is that for police department?
No. Eric,
Um,
didn't you get new decals?
I think it's,
Sorry. Yeah, I put decals on the jet machine. That well, after that got running, it got stickered up. I like to brand our the equipment with the sprinkle stickers. So that was that.
Fly your flag.
I think some of those may have been PD as well, John.
Okay.
It's on the invoice.
Well, I
The
bought
actual-
4 of them. I know I got 4 because I put 2 on the Jetter and the 2 on my brown truck are falling apart pretty bad. So I don't know.
Um,
We got some too.
And just a note for you, I'm still working on trying to get a darker copy. I had our copier people come in and they didn't solve it, so now I've got Black Mountain working on it. So I'm trying to get that resolved.
Well, I just found it funny, we got car stickers, flag stickers, and sticker removal tool.
The ones on my truck are gonna have to get peeled off. So.
Yep. Can I see those?
I
real
would
quick?
imagine
did have
if
a
one
question.
gets maybe partially torn or
Yeah.
half of it torn off or something, but
I just-
it does look kind of
She
funny.
needs it.
Ginger, I think
Did you have a question too?
I did.
Okay.
I should have asked it ahead of time, but I didn't notice the star until afterwards. Our Antelope Meadows dues.
Uh-huh.
It has overspent in expenditure. So did I not put it in the right section?
I will check into that. Maybe I hit a wrong number when I coded.
That was only, I mean, it says 5210.
That's water, which is
Water,
correct. Is it, what's the 3-number code?
430520. So I
No,
want
the
to,
3-number code,
whoa,
whether it's
Oh,
390, 210.
947317.
She's not.
3
getting
numbers
right.
only.
585.
585.
585? I got the wrong number if it's 585.
Okay.
I'm surprised it would post with
I did notice that asterisk.
that.
I didn't notice it on that. You can't see very well. Does everybody have these? I think everybody's had them.
I guess I would ask a question while
Oh,
we're
335. Yeah, 335. So I will check that,
Okay.
and I have permission to change it if it's in error.
That's why I wanted to double check.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I know we need our dues. I just don't have the right account.
I would ask a question. I was approached by a citizen of the community about, I guess it's our police cars. We have 2 police cars that are unmarked. Do we have like a policy as far as marking?
We do not have a policy, and there's no state statute on the requirements.
Nice. Yeah, I'm just curious. You know, Eric's marking a sewer jetter with the city of Ennis stuff, and I mean, it's just, I don't know, just.
Yeah, you're right.
how we
Typically,
should
you
answer the
have
question.
you have a policy where you mark all of your capital equipment. Your equipment needs to be numbered and inventoried, and that way, if it's ever stolen, you've got the serial number and everything that's needed to track it down and file an insurance report. So, do we have?
We have all the inventory.
Yeah. So.
We have to do it for the insurance in the packet.
And they have vehicle tracking, CAT ABL and all of that on the police cruisers and just about all the other equipment.
All right. We had a motion. Are we good to go with claims if there's a correction on if we have to move our number?
The child number.
Mitch?
A second. Or I. Sorry.
Aye.
Okay. Public comment on non-agenda items. This is the moment to say anything that's not on the agenda. Since it's not legally posted, then we cannot respond. Second call for public comment on non-agenda. Last call for public comment on non-agenda. John and Jim, wants to give our update on our sheriff's office agreement?
I can do that. We've met with the sheriff's department twice now. As a group, I've met with them a 3rd time on Friday. They came down to my store and we chatted for quite a while. We're getting closer. We're not there yet. We asked for a bunch of information and they were super helpful in getting us all the information that we're looking for. I would expect by the next meeting to have a robust discussion on that and, give you our recommendation anyway. But that it is moving along. We've had, as I said, 2 group meetings and I had a 3rd with them on last Friday. I think it was Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can I
It's moving
clarify
along.
for the record what agreement you're discussing? Is it
It's
the
the,
911?
no, well,
services
it's both.
It's all around.
It's all around. It's the MOU for law enforcement services as well as the dispatch agreement. We're trying to put them together and flock shoot them.
Okay.
So,
And just to add, I mean, they've given me 10,000 data points.
yeah,
You saw the request that I sent over to them, Mayor, and they put together all of that and they got the final report over to me today. So we're going to take that and analyze it and be able to provide some additional dialogue with the sheriff's department.
so we're moving forward. I think our goal is by next meeting to be able to have a discussion and hopefully a vote and go forward. So
to dovetail into the sheriff's MOU, inquiring about the incident that happened a couple of weeks ago on the doorstep of the town, almost on the doorstep of the town hall, the DUI collision. And all of the departments showed, except one department wasn't there, the Ennis Police Department. And this is at midnight on a Saturday. We got 2 officers. When do they work? All in day shift? I mean, is that really getting the bang for our buck? It's getting ridiculous. And the sheriff, DUI, had to pull him down to Dillon detention. But no, and then John Moore's incident report 4 days later is closed. Well, but the sheriff must be still investigating, because you can't close a DUI collision. You can't even get a hold of insurance companies in that amount of time. But it's kind of who's guarding the hen house, because sure as hell isn't the NSPD. Thank you.
All right, Jim, you want to give the IT?
Yes, we continue to work on the IT, and we've had some conversations with John Swanson from the school department. And rather than outsourcing to a private company, we're going to actually source John Swanson to work with the IT department to be the backup and to provide any assistance where needed. He does all of the school IT work, and he also does consulting for a number of school districts and communities, and he just appears to be the perfect fit. He's in town, and he has the ability to be able to, I think, source technology from a security level that is what we're looking for, and it will give us the opportunity to put together the rest of these documents, the social networking, the email policies, all of that. I'll ask to work with him to finalize all of that, and I think that puts us in a very good place to having backup for IT for the community.
And then on that, the contract that's in the drive is a draft of it. He left X's for dollar amounts. And the discussion at this moment is $200 a month. And then he will have to take additional training, some of our requirements for CGN and such. So
And keep in mind that could be $200 per hour for someone to come in and source and help us with that. So we're getting a good bargain from someone who's in town and actually understands the community and the network. And that individual, John Swanson, in addition, works with John Moore with actually programming some of the technology that's in town and at the school. So
I was wondering if you had explored the option of employing him or contracting him full-time instead of your town employee adding up accrued costs, the benefits and the PTO and all the kind of things that add up, the overtime wages. Was wondering if you had talked to John Swanson to see if it was something that he would be interested in taking over full-time, or just explored that at all.
I think what we're hoping is to have the opportunity to understand how the services are going to work. And the other thing that we're working on that will come up later is that we're working on a wage and personnel package, or possibly putting together a team from the commission, actually work on putting together wage and personnel. And that would be a discussion that would be put to them and understand the feasibility of it.
and creating a backup for everybody is what we're trying to accomplish.
We're looking to have redundancy. There's not anyone that has a business continuity plan that doesn't make sure that you have redundancy, and to outsource redundancy to someone that's up in Billings and have them to try to understand the town of Ennis. It just doesn't make any sense, right? So we're looking to create redundancy from within what we can, using the school department and anyone else that we can source who is reliable and that we can.
Local.
Yeah, exactly.
So cross-training is redundancy.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
Is that happening in all departments?
That's what we're
Yes.
trying to shoot for all
across
of
the
it.
whole board. And that's
So that-
part of the whole wage and personnel, creating the ability to be able to dovetail all of that, right? Because it's really dovetailing when you're talking about personnel.
All right, so we should have that final contract ready for you for next month. If we're all kind of in an agreement that 200 is a ballpark that we're comfortable with, I'll have to contact Swanson and get all of the school parts taken out of the contract. And
I was
finalized.
wondering, I read it, I was like, I don't understand what.
he took his generic contract. So yeah, I'll have that ready.
We just wanted to have the opportunity for everyone to see exactly what it is.
And before I put in hard numbers, if we felt like we were comfortable with where that was going.
Is he the one that's high tech solutions?
Yes.
Yeah, this one's dated 2023.
Yeah, and this is just a boilerplate for us to look at. That's all.
And if there was anything else that we thought we needed to change, but
Oh, we can discuss that when we get to the end.
And he's right here in town. He's a junior high football coach.
Yeah, we couldn't have asked for a better opportunity when we started having discussions and going over the IT plan. You, the mayor, and I mean, it just became a perfect fit for us, I thought.
all right. On to scheduled matters, local government review update. Good evening, Brittany.
Good evening. Just briefly, our next meeting for the local government review is next Thursday at 6 p.m. We're meeting at the library, and so if you would be interested in attending, we'd love to hear from you. We have the former employee and commissioner and current commissioner and employee survey active right now, and hopefully everyone received that. We made a long list of people we could think of that were former as well, and I know several of them have been provided the link to the survey. Last time I looked, we had a dozen or more completed, so hopefully we'll get several more over the next week or two.
How long is that active for?
Well, we do plan to review those next Thursday. However, if a survey were to come in after and was so drastically different from all the others, we would take that into consideration. But ideally, we'll follow up with anyone who hasn't maybe reached out or told us that they took it yet to remind them that we'd like to review them at the commission next Thursday. We've gotten, let's see, an updated timeline, which was for our second public hearing. We had originally planned on doing that June 18th. It didn't work with Dan Clark's schedule for MSU, which we have invited him down. So the new date for that is June 25th, which is the following week. We will publish that in the paper the 2 weeks prior, and then we sent over an updated timetable to be as an advertisement in the paper so that the timeline is updated and accurate. But yeah, we look forward to having Dan here. We will have prepared our tentative report June 5th, so that'll be a few weeks after, where we will have the tentative report of the commission, and ideally what we would like Dan to be there for, and he's completely on board with it, and loves the idea of just engaging with the community. What questions you have about this suggestion or this recommendation, or what would this look like, or what would it look like this way, based on our tentative report. So that will be, like I said, June 25th. That's a Wednesday, and that'll be at 6 p.m. at the library as well. I think, yeah, almost for updates. Any questions?
So you all received links for,
Yes. The only thing I didn't see on there was abolishing government. If
Oh,
I'd seen
yeah.
that,
And all taxes.
I would have checked that box, the no taxation, no government agencies. I'm the anti-government, government.
Look, here you are, sitting on government
So Brittany, did you,
Sorry.
I received the one that you wanted me to send. Oh,
Wasn't on
I
there.
received the one that you wanted me to send to the staff, but I haven't received.
There, it's the same survey.
Okay.
Yeah. So as if you opened it, it says current or former elected officials, employees. So they're all getting the same questions.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, like the other survey, we pulled all of the questions from MSU recommendations. So I know there's been some question on the type of questions we've asked, but they came from MSU. So kind of got us up on the hook there, and was a great outline for us to go off of.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you're
Thank
welcome.
you. All right, looking to next year when the seats may be different, but we still have to kind of play our part and help our community try and figure out where we're going to be. Tanya's contacted me so that the hospital can kind of figure out what we are submitting for CDBG. So give her the floor for a moment.
I have a brief little one pager for you guys to keep. So some of you might remember I was here sometime last year, twice last year, I think, seeking sponsorship or sponsorship of a preliminary architectural review from the state, which has to be sponsored by a town or the county. You guys were so kind enough to sponsor it. Unfortunately, we did not receive either of the two times I applied for it. The last time we were told something new, which was that we are not in the town's growth and planning policies, and that's why we scored lower. So lesson learned there. We are now making sure that we are talking to the town and the county to make sure that the medical center is documented in both of those. I was able to receive private grant funding to fund the preliminary architectural review because time is of the essence for us. Our building is 16 years old and there are critical pieces that need to be looked at, evaluated. We have, for instance, boilers that are aging. One of them had an internal fire last year. Water heaters are starting to need to be replaced, but more critically, we have backup generators and backup systems and critical IT infrastructure that needs to be addressed sooner than later. As most of us know, technology is changing much faster, and we do not have, for instance, enough ports in our walls at the right places to support the new layout and design of things, and we do not have, according to our IT director, a sufficient wireless and backup systems are needed everywhere, server rooms, everything. So what we would like to do through this preliminary architectural review that we have secured is prepare to apply for the Community Development Block Grant in November of 2026. We will need a town or the county to sponsor us. I've already talked with the county. They are unable to because they already have a CDBG grant that is in session right now. It'll still be going. It'll probably be extended through then. They do not consider themselves viable to sponsor us at that time. So I'm asking if the city or the town, I'm sorry, would consider sponsoring our application.
Is it in our?
It is. The reason I ask is the grant is up to $750,000 with a match that would be handled by the foundation. It would require, it would only require the town to accept the grant award and then give the money out when we submit the information for it. So it is a low lift of the town.
Yes, essentially. The part that we need to look at is whether we will be applying.
That was my question. Because we can.
Last time we were in two different buckets, so it wasn't any contradiction because remember when Craig came in and there was a planning section of CDBG and they score those differently, and that's what the hospital was seeking for their needs at the time was the architectural report. And it wasn't in conflict with us seeking funds for the water tower for our water storage. So now we have to decide, will we be in conflict in 2026?
And I think that
What?
Is there a way to know for sure right now if it will be?
Yeah, is there a way to?
I would just make a recommendation that we actually ask someone that's on the commission and the mayor to actually work with the medical center and to explore what CDBG means to everyone. And let's sort of set some priorities here, right? What everyone plans to spend it on and decide what those priorities are and which ones we think that we should support together. Because I think we really need to begin to pull together everyone together in town and work together and have a relationship that's going to do positive things for the community. Because if we don't have that, then we're just pulling in different directions and we're working against one another. And I would just ask that maybe we could put together a team of people to work with you and
Or
let's explore
combined
what's in the best
application.
interest of the
And that's
town.
what I'm wondering,
Yeah.
if we could
Yeah.
even combine.
Right, and then that way we can explore what grants are out there, what ones we have the opportunity to actually go after. Because let's be honest, we're doing the growth policy plan right now. We have a lot of work to do. We have infrastructure, you have infrastructure, and we need to determine what the priorities are, right?
Mhm.
And unless we're working together, our priorities just, we work against each other when we do harm to one another. So I'm just recommending, Mayor, maybe we can ask a member of the commission and yourself to work with the medical center and let's explore what grants are available and decide which ones we should support, which ones we are going to apply for.
2 volunteers?
Excuse me?
2 volunteers?
I'll volunteer.
All right, perfect. We'll get with you. We'll start looking at all the criteria for that grant and see if we can put something together. And we'll probably arrange a go-to meeting with Craig
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Erickson, because he helped us through all of our other ones from Great West, and then pull something together because he's been working with both of us separately. So it'd be nice to kind of pull it all together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great.
He's been
Thank you
amazing.
for coming to the
Mhm.
meeting last night. It was
Yeah.
very helpful to have you there and to understand that number one, relationships are important. And number two, that we want to make sure that the medical center is included in the growth policy and that there's some strong language in there as
Mhm.
the vital part that you play in the community. So
Yeah.
I think by wrapping all of that together and putting together this team of people, I think we can have some good accomplishments moving
Great.
forward. So
Thank
Yeah,
you guys.
thank you.
I'd like to reiterate, like the town of Twin Bridges they're currently not getting along with their fire department. They both applied for the exact same grant and there was no communication happening there. And I think it's really important for all these different entities in town, all of us, to be communicating. So,
I mean, to have a meeting once a month, what's the harm in meeting and talking things over and understanding what direction we should be working together in? So,
Keep an eye on grants that we might see come across ours that at the moment don't make sense for us, but might make sense for you.
exactly.
so just so I understand, our last grant that we didn't get, that we placed like 28 out of 32, was that a
Place
CBD?
32 out of 35.
Okay, something pretty low. Was that a CBDG?
That one was.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm just
For water and sewer.
And
For
growth
water.
policy and chamber and all those relationships have to be in place. You have to look like you're able to actually expedite the grant after you receive it, right? And if there's anything in there that gives any indication that you're not able to do that internally, then, I mean, they'd be reckless to actually pass out a grant to a community that's not ready to execute.
All right, I'll send you an email as a group and we'll
Great.
get together and find a time with Craig and
Perfect. Thank you.
start making a plan.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I already lost myself. I lost my agenda. I haven't even moved. This is a mad skill. Oh, yeah, we are. Oh, appointment of Lincoln Roberts to the County Planning Board.
This isn't his first time doing this, right?
No. I move to approve the appointment of Lincoln Roberts to the County Planning Board.
I'll second that.
Question, how long is that?
It's a 2-year appointment. Any other discussion? Any comment from the room? Cody's here. If you haven't met Cody, wave to Cody. Cody's on the County Planning Board.
County planning director. Yeah, if you guys move to push him through, I'll take it to the commission on Tuesday. They'll appoint him. He'll jump back in 2 feet.
And he's okay with that? He wants it?
He actually submitted. He signed up.
Okay.
We're not just, you're not here, so you get to bring cookies.
So in the past, he would come in and give a rundown on what's happening on a county.
That's actually
Level.
part of our county. So our county planning board by statute doesn't have to have representation from the towns.
Thank you.
Turn it on.
So our county planning board by statute doesn't have to have representation from specific communities, but how we've written our bylaws is to have that as an option because of our interlocal agreements. It's important everyone's at the table. So part of the bylaws also state whoever is appointed by and representing the town, it's up to them to be here and give you a report every month and let you know what's going on at the county level in planning and land use. So, yeah.
We're good. All right. I think, where am I at? I think Abernathy.
Aye.
All right. I'll send him an email congratulating him to some. All right, on to appointment for Jim.
Yeah, that's what I read.
He has no preference on how you pronounce his last name.
To the tree board. Corey, why don't you give us an overview? You found somebody.
So yeah, I actually, my house cleaner, this is her husband, and he's a forester from upstate New York, retired. He currently works out at the Jack Creek Preserve. I don't know if that's on an, I'm not exactly sure what he does for the Jack Creek Preserve, but it's
He's in charge of all the grounds. He's the grounds guy. I'm on their board, so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's a solid individual.
100%.
Yeah, gave us some recommendations for the trees that we planted out in the roundabout in the North 40 the other day, as far as what species and stuff like that to plant. And yeah, I think he's a good fit.
I'll move to appoint Jim to the
A
tree
second.
board.
All right, any other discussion, questions? Do you want to let Jim know?
I will.
Just kidding. We better vote first.
Aye.
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 Thank you, Jim. All right, library endorsement. So 2022 MMMA said, these are kind of our guidelines for how we're going to ensure, if you would like to continue to insure your libraries, they set those guidelines. We have to renew it every year. Karen asked last month that it be tabled so that she could bring it through her board, as most of those were new members, so that they were comfortable with why it is in existence and all of that. She said she went through that
We did vote.
with the board approved it, and so now it's back to us for renewal for another year.
Things pretty straightforward.
Yes.
I'll move
It's
to
the same.
approve it.
Yeah, they haven't changed it. They just they want the renewal. So
I move to approve, yep.
I'll second.
okay. Any other discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next in your packet is the big insurance packets of the spring. We've never reviewed these before, so I figured I'd put them out there for any questions, comments. all that fun stuff. What I do know for now is the mod factors. That's the only thing that I wanted to point out. The mod factors are from MMIA, are based over a 3-year period. An average mod factor for a town of our size is 1.0. The higher it goes in the number, the more cost that basically says that you are going to accrue over time, and it affects your rates. So in our liability program, we're up to a 1.97. And that, when I talked to Alan and Tyler at MMIA, it wasn't multiple claims, like a lot of claims. It was the cost of the few claims that we had were high. And all of them had to do with, at that time, were water and sewer ones. So they said that's just the nature of the beast, and it's exceptionally average that you have one sewer claim and it changes your mod factor for 3 years. So nothing outside the normal. They said we can come down and do an evaluation of things, but I don't think that there's going to be much more to recommend other than sometimes accidents happen, and that's what we're here for, and carry on. And then where was our other one? Our mod factor in workers' comp is in the average range. So they again said they can come down and do an evaluation of different areas, but we're just going to start with, they are here. Brittany and Tyler will be here next Tuesday to follow up on the recommendation from the Department of Labor that ergonomics testing be done for the office staff. So the library staff and then the office staff here will go through that and see if we can.
Didn't you say last month or the month before that MMIA was going to drop workers' comp? Don't I remember that?
No, they'd had the discussion at their board meeting. There was 3 options. One of them was continue on, and there was a drop option completely, as more and more towns have been going to state fund for their workers' comp. And the third option was get down and dirty. And I haven't seen an update because they've gone into a full court case with state fund. It's in litigation.
All right, so for this year.
Yep, we're here.
Okay.
They're covering us for this year, that if anything changes, they'll let us know ahead of time.
How many, on average, in a year, how many workers' comp claims do we have? One
is our average year.
Why do we have the lowest deductible then? Why are we not saving money on the base rate by raising the deductible? I mean, going from $750 to $1,500, you save what, 6 cents on every $100 of payroll. Every payroll. That's a lot of money over the year. And if you never have to pay the deductible, why have the lowest one? Or you only have to pay it once a year, why have the lowest one?
Very good idea.
And the state or the town pays that deductible, is that right?
Yes.
Correct.
So if we have, I mean, I'm looking at this, I would think you could budget in going up to a $3,750 deductible and you save almost $1.
Only move 2 positions. You can
That
only
is
move.
the second position.
Is it?
Yeah.
Where are you? Where did it go?
Table 2 on the second page.
Yeah, page 2.
Pay for itself.
Yeah.
And more.
I mean, is this something you want to do an analysis on, and a financial analysis on, and come back to?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Can we table this?
And then I'll have to ask if we can move. This was just for discussion anyway. I still can't find where you're at.
Says fiscal year 25-26, Experience modification is $1.97. The current deductible is $750. Minimum assessment with limited payroll is $1,840, which we're gonna outdo that.
Oh, you're in the liability one.
Yeah.
Okay, you were talking about workers' comp when you asked, and so I was looking through that one.
Oh,
Now I'm back.
Oh, and I was referring to claim.
Right.
In workers.
Workers' comp. So
So how many, we had how many liability claims then?
I think last year, or this year, we've only had
one, but we had 8 in
2 years ago. When the water main. broke.
yes, there was 8 that year. Was it 8 or 13?
I think
it
the
was
question
13.
here, though, is let's do an analysis over the past 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And see what the cost has been and see what the recovery would be by increasing to the next level, right?
Yeah.
It just gives you an opportunity, using the numbers to decide what's in our best interest. I mean, if you have an 8 out there and you have a 1,
Yeah.
and you go from an extreme to a non-extreme, right?
Yeah.
Does MMIA cover auto, like vehicle insurances for the town cars and the cop
Yeah.
cars?
It's all of our insurance.
It's all inclusive.
Right, but it's health insurance and
Yes.
structural insurance. Okay.
property.
Yeah, we're currently discussing liability.
So they're all separate
Liability
programs.
is based on, the way they bill you is based on, for every $100 you pay in payroll. Right now, we would be paying $4.45 in payroll. So if your payroll is $1,000, you're paying, and there's 10 hundreds in there, you're paying $40, $41.40 every payroll. If we went down, if we reduced our deductible or increased our deductible, you go down almost $1. It's $3.93. So you're saving on average in a year, you could be saving hundreds of dollars, or you could be saving thousands of dollars. It depends. So what we want to do is figure out the average claims, what we paid on them, and the deductible is per claim, right?
Correct.
So if we paid $3,750 and when we had the huge number, then it would not be worth it if we predict that we are going to have a whole bunch of claims. But if it's less than that, like this year we had 1. So we're going to try to do a 5-year look back and do an average and then figure out the numbers from there. Make sure it makes sense.
I'll have Tyler get me the numbers from the last 5 years
That'd be great.
because he pulled the last 3 for me since that was where the mod factor was.
And I'm assuming that they offer a safety plan.
Yes.
And they come out on site and they actually do worker safety.
They do, and they provide a
doing
whole
that.
manual, and Eric has the manual for weekly safety briefs.
And there is a time frame on this, right? Like your end of open enrollment benefits, right? When is that again?
Oh, this is liability. So
It should probably be July 1st.
July 1st.
Would be the new policies.
Yeah.
Does it run in with our fiscal year?
I'll have to check and see if we're gonna change, if we want to change the deductible,
Yeah.
if we have a deadline.
All right, thank you.
Says invoices will be sent
I have to
in
call
June.
Tyler anyway, so and get the 5-year.
Add that to your questions.
Yes, and
I thought
then
we checked this a couple months ago, and the new policy actually begins on July 1st and ends on June 30th.
It does.
Yeah, the first invoice comes out in June, which
It's-
makes
it's-
sense.
It's fiscal, yeah.
It's fiscal.
Sorry, so I just noticed on the agenda, it just says insurance update. So this is not anything to do with health insurance, right? This is just
Correct.
property insurance. So where does the health insurance stand?
we had that discussion.
Last month,
Yes.
Yeah.
And passed it? Or I thought there was,
We changed remember we changed the
Tier plan.
and made it 10% for all new hires for their contribution. We had that whole discussion.
oh, and it was voted on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Let me change deductible, sorry. Thank you for catching that, Mitch. That's, take it where you can get it.
It may work this year, but you have to revisit every year.
Yeah,
Are you going to help with that?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
okay, perfect, thank you. As soon as I get the information from Tyler, I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
And he's here Tuesday, I don't know, I don't have a time, but I'll get it to you in case you want to peek in and say hi to him. And then Brittany, they're both exceptionally helpful. All right, so that's pretty much what I had in here. If anybody has any other,
Well, there is workers' comp in here further down on page 5. It starts with the rates. They don't give us any choices on these.
no,
It's a standard rate based on your position. So we have clerical and police officer. Where would Eric fit in here? Is he professional? No, that's administrative. It's okay. So they have all others, municipal non-professional employees.
so we have the municipal, no, did we put,
I'm thinking he falls under all other because it's the highest rate, and they work in a risky area with machinery and type of work that's being done. Okay, thank you. I mean, we don't have a choice. I'm just wondering
But I know it's one of the.
what it should look like so we can budget for it.
It must be 9420, right?
I'm thinking
What else could
it
it be?
could be anything else.
Yeah, it has to be
It's gotta be.
9420. And that explains the rate as well, right?
Yes. The riskier the job, the higher the rate.
Exactly, yeah.
and then I think, I can't remember where we fall into, because we pay
You're
for,
either clerical or
No, I mean-
professional and administrative.
I don't-
Maybe we could get a count on how many fill each one of these slots.
That would be great. And
Would that
then
make more sense, and then we can actually.
then I could
attach-
extrapolate what we can count on paying for the budget.
Exactly, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that'd be great.
So if I can get employee by department.
And then some of it will end, well, I guess it'll be, Brittany, you guys are done in June, correct? July?
Well, I think technically our notice goes through January.
Dreary. Okay, so we'll still have 6 months of, yours isn't much though. I think, what did it come out to, like 5? I was about to say like, yeah, 5, something like that. Okay.
Works is 9410.
Yep. 9410?
Yep.
Wow.
And I go off of their definition.
Non-professional
Nice.
employees, yep.
Okay.
So they were asking if we could get a count for each of the qualifications.
Sure.
So you have the 6 codes. and
Where
if you
they
could
fit
maybe
in the
put
code, yeah.
How many
Sure.
people in each of the codes, please?
Yes.
Thank you. That's great.
Perfect, thank you, Ginger.
9410, really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed
that's
that.
That's a strange place.
I know.
But
It works.
it does for me too. 1322 compared to 5615.
Yep.
All right. That note left out. And I think, like, if you read that first page, there's still staying in the competitive range.
Well,
That's-
the first page says that overall it went down 10.68
Right.
over last year. 10%, almost 11% decrease in workers' comp, which is good. That means all the municipalities are keeping their people safe. They didn't have many claims.
Leave that out for this. Are we good on insurance documents currently.
Have we had any volunteer claims at all?
No. Volunteer?
There's a whole volunteer section.
There is, no, we have not.
Do the volunteers, does that count like during the parade when we have volunteer traffic?
No.
No, because that's the chamber sponsored.
Right.
Yeah.
Right now, we have the local government review committee.
Right. They're volunteers.
They're volunteers,
As
right.
volunteers.
We used it once for Giant when we did the,
Lions Club Park cleanup.
after one of the gorges. That's,
Planning board and others, do they fall into that category? There's a special section for elected or appointed officials.
Within this code.
Not, I mean, planning board is a volunteer
Right.
board also, and no, they have not, when we asked that,
They don't
They
fit into
didn't.
any of those codes.
Yeah.
Because they have all these subsections that are volunteer subsections. It would just be good to know. Would you be willing to do that as well? I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. You mean take a look at those and put some numbers together based on average volunteers in a year?
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, we must have a volunteer list, right? People who regularly
if we
volunteer.
have a project go on, then we have a volunteer list.
Yeah.
Like this year with the local government, I mean, we have, and Karen is doing it on her off hours.
Yeah.
So she's considered a volunteer in that as well.
Mitch, will you put like all the boards on there so we'll figure out if we need to add them? Cause
Sure, you might have to send me a list of them.
I think
Planning,
that you're going to find
tree,
out that they're required to be in there.
Library.
And I think there's a dollar value for each individual per month, so.
Yeah, it's
cause
states
with
it.
library, well,
We have planning, tree, library,
The tree.
government review.
Is this for the umbrella policy for the library distinctly?
This is for the workers' comp related to volunteers.
Right, so
So-
you have a casual volunteer, regular volunteer, consistent volunteer, court-appointed volunteer.
do not.
There's
wanna be
all
one
kinds
those.
of different classifications, and what we would like to do is put together, an average of volunteers that we have over the last 5 years. Again, do a 5-year look back, project out if we have volunteers, what it would cost us, so we have it for budget talks, yeah.
It'd be
Probably
just
things
great
that
to
we've
track
never
it.
added
Track
in
it
there
now and just
for, like, the
continue to
boards.
track it, then we know where we need to be next year and the year
Yeah,
after, so.
Read your list again to me one more time.
Planning, tree, library, government review.
Zoning, Board of Adjustments.
Planning, building, you were talking about what's linked to the sort?
Planning.
Yeah, club.
I have the planning tree board, library board, government review, zoning, and board of adjustments.
Zoning board of adjustment is one thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it is zoning board.
Yep.
Got it.
I found it.
Thank you.
So it also states in here, we will be getting a distribution of $1,805 returned to us
Yes.
for the
So when
prior
they
year,
send us, when they send us our final
your adjustment. Yeah.
bill, the adjustment will be deducted off of that.
What month do you do the audit?
They audit based on payroll,
And they're not
the
doing
insurance
annual?
company.
They're not doing annual?
They do annual.
They must do an annual cost.
Yeah, they do an
They
annual
have to. I do one, so.
catch up. I'm done.
You have enough homework for you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think we're to the next special events policy. Dun, 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 dun.
It looks good how you put it together.
Are we there?
Well, I have two
Who's on
questions
I have to read it.
on the special events policy that I think we missed here.
Uh-oh.
if I'm reading this right, on page 4, section 4, third item down, the event must have first aid services or medical assistance available during the event if crowds over blank attendees.
Right, that was the discussion. What do you want?
50?
It was 50, I thought we said.
Yeah,
What's
it was
that?
50.
I did say 50. I thought
That's
we
what I
agreed
thought.
on
That's
50.
why I was surprised that,
We agreed on 50.
Page
Yeah.
4?
So to have an ambulance on site, like waiting?
oh, this is the ambulance. The next one is event staff and security. See, we didn't talk about this. We talked about what constitutes an event.
Right.
And we decided that number is 50.
Right.
But here it's asking to have an ambulance and to have security. And 5, subsection 1 has the same. So
I'm not looking at the right one.
page 4,
On special events.
Mhm.
yeah, not the
Version
permit,
3?
Not the permit.
not the permit, the policy.
We've got two, yeah, because I'm not finding it either. There was two
There it
that
is.
said,
Okay, I've got it.
like on special events on there for two different ones a while ago I saw.
Yeah, there should be 2.
Well,
One's
there's
the
three.
permit, one's the,
Well, those are just replies back. So this one with the PDF is the one that you're talking about on page 4?
I don't know.
It's called
special.
the special event policy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's also
And
special
they got one out
event
beside the
permit.
PDF?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said page 4.
page 4, subsection 4 and subsection 5.
This page 4 start with event conduct? At the top of it?
No.
No.
So,
All events.
Starts with purpose.
Are you saying like the beer festival or whatever?
Yeah,
uh,
so the two decisions are
for
ambulance
off-
and security.
Right.
How many people before we mandate an ambulance? How many
Oh,
people
gotcha.
before we mandate security?
And isn't that sort of,
5 people?
70.
Oh,
No, you've already got 50.
mhm.
I would ask Ms. Gustafson.
John, I was going to ask, what it takes to mandate the ambulance, because my understanding is that's up to the ambulance.
Medical. We used to
Yeah.
do well when the town hosted or had moods on the Madison. At that point, the volunteer ambulance service was brought to the table and said, "Can you cover this weekend?" And our polite response was, "Not a chance that on the second busiest historical weekend will we be able to cover." They had to hire a private company.
Okay. So the policy doesn't guarantee
Yeah,
the,
No, it
doesn't
does
say
not
the
guarantee
ambulance,
your
it just says
resources.
okay.
It
first
says
aid
that
services.
they are going to have to make arrangements.
Yeah.
So they would have to
Okay.
contact you if they wanted Madison
Okay.
Valley and say,
Understood.
"Hey,
And it just says first aid services. It doesn't necessarily have to be your ambulance.
Perfect. Okay.
But
Thanks.
it has to be an ambulance?
It doesn't say that.
why does it
Mm-mm.
have
Doesn't
to be?
say an
I mean,
ambulance.
if you have a medical tent can serve the same purpose.
yeah." It can keep them from having additional calls.
Because I know that gets very tricky, as you know, to have the ambulance assigned somewhere if it's especially busy time.
Sure. And what would the cost be? If like I'd say I was putting an event on with 75 people and I wanted to employ your services.
I don't think you could employ our services. It's whether we are available and that is strategically advantageous or not. I am speaking outside of my jurisdiction, but having been in conversations with the ambulance department about things such as this, that's what I anticipate they would say.
Sure. I mean, within city limits, the hospital's super close. As long as you have a medical plan, maybe we need to.
First aid station.
A state certified medical station.
Station.
I don't think the states doesn't certify medical stations.
Well, a first
Well, who
aid
does?
qualified
anyone?
or CPR first aid
No.
qualified person.
A first aid station.
Yeah.
There's private companies that
Do this all the time.
do it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, at least they stop the triage, right, while an ambulance is coming.
And that's what I noticed from working them is it keeps actual resources from being called out when
Right.
you can simply do a little bit of cooling, a little bit of water. Now they're not called out to go to I collapsed at the park when you can get them cooled down, do an assessment. Get them
Potentially
down,
drive them yourself.
drive them yourself, do the thing.
All right, so we want to reword that. Thank you, Tom.
First aid services or medical assistance over 50, I think is still fine.
Over 50,
Yeah.
or did we say 75?
I like 75.
Okay.
And then for event staffing and security, for events exceeding blank, the organization may be required to hire off-duty law enforcement officers, fire personnel, or private security to maintain safety and control of the crowd, particularly when alcohol is involved.
Where are you looking? I'm not following you.
The next one down, 5, right below where we were.
5 is a application process.
No,
5 on mine says event staffing and
Yeah.
security.
exactly.
Okay.
Montana, Ennis, Montana Special Events Policy version 3. Is there another version?
Like I said, I saw several on there at one time. and
Yeah,
they have it
it's
back.
the version that was in our,
So the one that says PDF and then it's got a bracket with like 1 in between it, I believe, is the one that I clicked on that I found.
I'm looking at the Word document.
That's because as we're in the meeting, they're being modified. The Google Docs are being modified, and that's why it's creating more and more.
Each time we click on them and look at them, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying there's more being added because they're all being modified.
Or
during-
opening.
during
Yeah,
this
open.
meeting.
Yeah.
Because you're opening them.
Okay.
Does this policy apply to like softball games, baseball games?
Special events. I'd say this is outside the normal function
Is
of.
there a definition in there? of
there is.
There is.
There is, yep.
Okay.
Okay, I'm with you now.
Okay, what number before we have to have some sort of security in place?
I think 75.
I like 75.
75 as well?
Yeah.
And this is,
Because if you're
know that
expecting
this is,
75 and 100 people show up,
Yeah.
there's a big
know
potentially
that this
gonna have
is, this is, I believe the 80-20 rule. 80% of it will get caught in this, 20% is the mayor's saying, all right, it's a 5-year-old's birthday for 75 kids. You probably don't need an armed security guard on that one.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It says may, not shall.
Yeah.
So
May
it
give
comes
s-
down
may
to
give
like,
some
yeah, this is
sensitivity.
getting a little bit of,
Some discretion to make that.
Yeah,
choice.
that's the word I look for. There's some discretion in here.
I think 75 is good.
Okay. All right, those are the two things that
75 and 75.
Yes.
that jumped off to me.
And
the
this
only
is
thing that I would
Ed
say
reviewed.
is if alcohol is involved, it will be you will have security.
Mhm.
Because that's alcohol always.
If it's a larger crowd, if I don't already have an officer on duty. You know what I mean? Like TAP, they don't need to get another officer. It's not a large enough event to require their own officer. I just make sure that we have one on duty. It's fine. If we're having a giant concert with private tickets and multiple alcohol bars, I think they are going to need to have their own.
They do, 100%.
I'm kind of just going off of what I've seen when I have done fire at Rockland Rivers and EMS at Rockland Rivers.
And it's,
Like the farmer's market would be exempt, or Corey's race, the bike races that you do, that's exempt.
It's a special event. I don't know that the farmer's market.
They would have to get a permit, I believe, but
Yeah.
it would be one permit for the whole year
Yeah.
for all of their farmers markets. And it's really pretty straightforward if you're,
And the reason that we're doing this is because it takes town resources to clean up after those events. And we're just covering costs. So there's extra work for Eric's crew to go take out trash because the trash cans get full. It's just extra work. Bathrooms get used. Yeah. So.
I think for most. of
And then
these
just
things,
reviewing them to
pretty
make sure
vanilla.
that they're meeting safety standards.
Yes.
Takes time. I mean, I will say when Paramount was here, there was a total of 46 emails, 8 plan changes and reviews. So this is just a way for us to say, hey, we're going to recoup some of those long email costs and evaluations. And if that happens again, we can say that took some resources. You're going to have to pay for extra street closures things of that.
How many people were on that application? How many people showed up?
For the Paramount,
Yeah.
one person is on the application, the
Or the
permit holder.
Numbers of 75 and that kind of thing. Were they, was this applicable?
For having medical, the medical wouldn't, police wouldn't have been. But most film crews do. At least all the ones that we've privately contracted with. That's what my husband does. They call him for medical. So he's been on crews for fire. He's been on crews for medical. That's what they do. Long in the credits, when you sit all the way through the movie, there might be one little paramedic name at the very bottom of the list. Way behind everybody else that did stuff in the movie. They're with the caterers.
So I have a question about that too. Going back to them, they were on Main Street. They were on Highway.
Yes, they had to do both.
They had to do both.
Yeah.
And
All right, so I'll move to approve the special events policy and application
With 75 and 75.
with those
with
changes.
those changes, yeah.
I'll second that.
Public, how do you feel about that?
So just to sum it up, if you have 50 people or you're planning to have 50 or more people at a special event, you have to get a permit. If you have 75 or more, you may be required to provide medical and security.
So Peter T is exempt, right?
It's not our property.
Yeah.
Any other? All right. Calling it. I think we're at Corey.
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Oh, and so everybody knows, this replaces the user agreement.
Yeah.
But it does not replace encroachment.
Correct.
Corey, you wanted this one.
Oh,
Application.
So, I guess one of my biggest takeaways at last night's growth policy meeting was Jerry Gerbentz making the comment that grants are going away. So, how else is the town going to facilitate paying for different inadequacies that we have? And I mean, with this growth policy, I definitely want to move forward with identifying all of the town's issues or potential issues and how we're going to pay for these things in the future. So yeah, but this ultimately just is a request to see if the town is certified or can be certified. And as far as I know, it doesn't cost anything. I don't know that.
That was going to be my question. What does this cost? What does that cost?
Are you looking for advice here?
Yes, please.
With the Department of Commerce, John Heckler,
Thank you.
with the Department of Commerce, there is no cost for the review. The last review was done in about the year 2000, and it is expired. And with the club that we get together to discuss many things, the first thing that we need to do is to see if the town even qualifies anymore. Yeah, and we can do other things with our club if they say, no, you don't qualify. So, Corey has an example letter to be written to the department, signed by the mayor. It's one paragraph long, and basically you can't start until you start.
it's sort of a catch-22 there.
Sure.
That's it. And John, I believe at a 98% confidence level, there's no cost.
Okay, even if it's minimal, I just was wondering.
Yeah, I think probably the club members would pick it up at this time.
Yeah, I would get it.
All right.
Anyway, that's what to get started, we have to start.
Okay, I will move to approve the application to the Department of Commerce for a resort tax assessment for discussion purposes.
I'll second.
And just one quick comment about the grants going away. I'd be really careful about just saying that publicly because there's no evidence that grants are going away. There's evidence that the federal government is actually merging certain departments together, but there is absolutely nothing that says that there won't be grants available for housing and development and other things. As a matter of fact, I was reading today that there are a number of grants that are being pushed through different programs, and they're just being removed from some of the programs or government agencies that may be phased out, like the Department of Education. So, it's nice to say something, but unless you actually have hardcore evidence that it's going to happen, I just wouldn't want the public to walk away thinking that all the grants are going to dry up.
Sure. No, I was completely just quoting our professional planner that we're employing. So.
Yep, I understand.
Do you have any public? Do you have any comments?
No.
Any thoughts?
Brittany?
Just way to call people out, Corey. Any other discussion? Where am I at? Sally. All right, I will prepare a letter submission. Go from there. Corey's going to help me.
The letters are very short and sweet.
The letters are short and sweet. It was just, I dug for 2 hours trying to find an application and nowhere on Department of Commerce could I find an application. I was like, oh, I'll bring them with the application. No, it's nowhere.
One more question I thought of. How long for this determination? You send in this, is it a month they get back to you? Is it 6 months? Is
Do you
it?
know, John?
John, my understanding with bureaucracy, they send us a questionnaire that we need to fill out, and I believe the club members will tackle filling out everything we can. So I would say it's in months, not days, probably not weeks, but months to get it.
A determination. To get a determination letter back.
Yeah, we have to go through the process unless there's some elimination question that takes it out right away. But I don't think we will be coming back with their decision for, I don't know, or you can put in here, maybe by the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Be patient.
All right. Next one is the formal formation of Wage and Personnel Study Committee. This was
Yep.
Take it away.
Last meeting, I think Commissioner Abernathy and you and I and Eric had a really good conversation when we were looking at a couple of positions that he had and were able to take and create those positions. Now, hiring everybody at the same rate that we have a utility type person and then we have a licensed technician type person. And it gives you the ability to be able to almost like have a utility person that can do many different things, but not need to hold any licenses. I think that what we're hoping to do is to look at everyone that's employed by the town. And number one, to create that cross training, to create the ability to have a wage and personnel package that actually has an a la carte menu to it, where people can actually pick some benefits and some of those non-monetary. It gives the opportunity to fairly compensate people, to fairly title people, so that the title that they're working under actually falls under what is considered to be an actual position within government agencies, and to be able to create a benefit package so that we're not having this conversation 2 years from now that we can't keep people, that we train them, we license them, and then they're off to Bozeman or some other place. We want to create something that really I've done around the country. It's one of the first government projects that I ever worked on was a wage and personnel plan, and I did that for about 10 years. All government employees, they're the people great ideas, or they think great ideas, they come in and they disrupt the way the government needs to happen. The people that live it every day of the week, they're the ones that need to get the job done, make things happen. And politicians are really great at letting their egos get in the way and disrupt the way the government happens. And I'll admit to that I'll take fault when it goes out. But the fact of the matter is that I want the personnel to actually be able to look at something and see where they'll be 3 years from now, right? See the opportunities that they have 2 years from now, and to understand from a longevity perspective what that looks like. And a wage and personnel team should be looking at this annually so that they're actually moving it out 1 year constantly, and getting the input from the people who actually do the work. If you don't talk to the people that do the work, you have no idea what they do. You just, once again, we're a bunch of bureaucrats that, we disrupt government more than we actually improve it. So,
yeah, I attended that meeting too and got an idea from Eric. Since before his time, the Public Works Department has had no employees with any goal of longevity. They come and they go. It's a rotating door. And the goal of this group or this committee would be to put together a package that would be attractive to well-trained, experienced people that can work in this Public Works Department and want to stay with us. That's it. That's the ultimate goal, is to get someone to come here with the purpose of being here till they retire. Because with experience, as Eric can tell you, you know everything, and you know your pros and you know your cons, and you know what's wrong and you know what's right. And if the personnel keep changing, that's how we lose track of what's going wrong and what's going right. So the longer we can keep people in these positions, the better off the town.
and there's not one size that fits all. I mean, people come to work in government positions for many different reasons. Mm-hmm. And that's why the a la carte menu of the different types of benefits that we can offer. So I shared the beginning of the a la carte menu earlier. And we'll be actually adding on to that. And then we'll go in and we'll put a dollar amount next to it. And then when we the cost of the ability to be able to go the wages and actually determine how those wages and those benefits actually meld together and provide the perfect opportunity for people to be able to choose where they want to be.
And just for the public's information, Eric brought in last meeting one of his now ex-employees, Lucas, who was brought in to talk about the lack of housing in this area, affordable housing for someone that's working on an hourly wage. During our meeting, as you all can guess, we are not going to solve the housing problem, and we can't throw enough money at it to fix it. So our next best thing is to look at what we can offer to make the job attractive for someone to want to stay in Ennis. So as Commissioner Nehan mentioned, a lot of them are non-monetary. It's just basically motivating, appreciating, and just overall making them feel like a part of the community and that they're indispensable to us, which they are.
So it would be my recommendation that we continue. It's basically expansion. We focus first on public works with Commissioner Nehan and Commissioner Abernathy, and then we expand into the other departments.
So let me be
Looking
clear.
for the longevity.
I'm just trying to be clear here. So we're just voting on to make this a formal committee. Okay, that's what
You're not voting on anything other than that. What we want to do is
We'll bring
we want to
recommendations.
provide a package for each position and have
and then
the
recommendation.
say, yeah, we.
That's a good 5-year plan.
And also during our discussion with Eric, he brought it to our attention. His department, job responsibility, not. So he doesn't have a job description that we can work off of yet. So he's working on that. And we will, the reason we're starting with public works is because the dire need. And then we'll move to the other departments and all job descriptions will be updated and then we'll work from there.
I mean, there can be those 90-day positions, right, that we talked about the last time.
Yes.
So that fits into the package, but, I mean, to your point, the fact is that Eric is working without what could be determined to be a real job description.
Right.
And we want to put that together and provide him with the understanding as to how he fits into the grand scheme of things for the town government. So,
I do have one job description done. We're working on the operator job description right now.
Great.
I think
That's a good
maybe
rainy day project, not a actual beautiful day project.
yeah. Today I kind of did drop the ball and went and cleaned the pool today. So but I think this is a pretty good start. And I would like to emphasize the need to maybe move this along faster than for this department. I urge to move this right along real quickly if we can.
I meet next week.
Okay.
Eric, we'll send out an email to make sure that we get together early next week. And,
that's great.
So we get this moving.
The more we talk about it, and the more actually excited I get about it. What we talked about could actually be a really good thing for this town. Like, this would be something that doesn't happen for public works. Nobody in the state really. It'd be pretty good.
I make a motion to approve the wage and personnel study committee.
I'll second that.
Of Commissioner Nehan and
Yeah.
Commissioner Abernathy.
Yes.
All right. Any other discussion? I think we're back to. Are we back to you?
Yeah.
No, we're to John.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So a lot of discussion with Eric is an ever-growing frustration on ban of wipes in our public sewer system. So we looked through the pre-treat and technically it's not in there anywhere. So Commissioner Neon asked that it be put on the agenda for a discussion on whether or not we want to add it to the pre-treat.
So let me get this straight. You're asking for a public policy to ban wipes
Being flushed.
being flushed. So how are we going to enforce that? I go home tonight.
That was the
and-
discussion that Eric and I had,
and-
but it's
John?
still an
May
added
I?
layer.
Of course.
Can I jump in here a sec? I thought about that long and hard, and you're not going to enforce that. I mean, there is one place in town that would definitely be enforced, but the heart of that would be education, you know, but it's got to be something that's out in this town. And
You're right. Just by putting the ban out there, you probably, that 80-20 rule, you're probably get 80% of the people to comply.
Yeah.
The other 20 won't, but at least it reduced the amount of wipes hitting.
you know, and the more everybody in town's talking about it, the better art, you know.
Yeah, it's
I
definitely
think,
informational.
yeah, I think the key, I mean, I don't even like to say educational, but yeah, like you say, informational.
That's a very good
Going to
point.
be the a good route to go, and you know, maybe add in something. I don't know.
So Congress last year, HR 2964, they had a bill that passed through Congress that stated that all wipe containers had to have a statement on them that they can't be flushed. And
So-
it got into the Senate, and the Senate decided to be the Senate, and they voted against it. They voted it down, and that was on a federal level. I can tell you that in England and Scotland, that they have found out that the majority of wipes actually have a certain amount of plastic in them, and that because of the plastic that's in them, they're washing up on beaches and they don't deteriorate, and they're harming wildlife, and in some cases killing wildlife. And in England and Scotland, they actually have a full-blown ban on them. Anything that contains any level of plastic. So the industries there actually had to go back in and redesign them. And what I'm proposing here is that we do, I like to use the word emergency, an emergency ban on wipes being flushed in the town of Ennis, because number one, it gives us coverage that we are not making something permanent and throwing it into code. And then the second part of it is that I want to actually work with the mayor and see if we can put together an informational campaign, and maybe even some other people in the community, whether it be the medical center or someone, wants to help us to put together what can be a good informational campaign, and actually post that in all the restaurants, post it places where people can see it, maybe ask that we post it on the website and some other things. And I think the information,
All the places where you buy them.
I was going to ask, can we have the grocery store and the dollar store put up just a generic sign that these are not flushable in the town?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. If we put together,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nope.
I was just gonna say, any of our short-term rentals and stuff like that, I mean, I've got signs in
They
my
have to have
places, but
signs
I
in.
think we maybe need to try to do something to encourage, everyone to do that. So
The host to
And I'm-
post a sign.
I'm just going to jump in for 1 minute because Eric, I want you to explain what the consequences are that we're dealing with, because, and this isn't something that I just learned recently from you. We've learned it over a period of the past year. But if you could actually share how this is beginning to breach into parts of the sewer plant that they just don't belong in, that'd be helpful, please.
So I'll start off by saying this: since almost 5 years I've been, and the sound is really bad, guys. So I don't know if you're hearing me.
We can hear you very loud and clear.
Guys, this is horrible. This is not okay. This is bad. Anyways, since I've been here in almost 5 years now, it has got increasingly worse. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. Now to the point of where the weeds are catching what blows off the water. And when you're grabbing phenol hygiene projects in your UV reactor, that's your last defense to the river. And I think this is super important. I mean, if we had the money, I would put Headworks in right now because it's that bad for it's and this year particularly, it has just exploded. I don't understand it. I don't know what changed, but the end result is because we don't have a Headworks, we don't have 10 years for that product to sit there and rot. It is slowly making its way on down the lagoon. And we have 3 cells, and they all work in series, but it's going to come a time where people are going to start noticing this. And, we need to knock this and do something. We got to try something. If there was one improvement I would do at the sewer, it would be adding headworks. And that's just a big machine that it's like an auger. It goes in your sewer line, and anything foreign like that goes into it and ends up into a little brown bag that you just take to the dump. But it's
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, thank you. And I think at the end of the day, the reason why, once again, I'll repeat that if we do an emergency act and ban, then we can lift that at any time that we want to. And it gives us the ability to be able to find a way to actually solve the problem through informational and through working with the community, and whether it happens to be the supermarket or whether it be the homeowners or in the schools, that people understand that these are not helpful and that they are harming our ability to be able to maintain the sewer plant at the level that it currently is. And that they could irreparable harm.
And also, one more thing, this could greatly affect what happens when we actually do get a new permit. That could be a huge impact.
Eric, if I understood you right, the other day, you mentioned that if we don't do something, that the lake's sanitation is in jeopardy.
No, that's not at all what I'm saying.
Okay.
Not at all. Matter of fact, I will tell you this: I eat the fish out of that lake. I have no problem eating the fish out of that lake because I know what's going into that lake.
Okay.
Absolutely not what I'm saying.
I think I understand where you're going now. So make the motion extremely clear, because there was a couple of different things talked about.
Right.
Let's
would
drill
like
down exactly what you want to do.
Okay, so my motion will be that I want an emergency act to ban hand wipes or wipes in general for a period of 6 months, right? And we can revisit this in 6 months. And that during this period of 6 months, there will be a full ban of anyone flushing the wipes, and that there will be an informational campaign at the same time that will work in dovetail with this ban. So we would start with hopefully naming 1 or 2 commissioners, actually the mayor and Eric, and that we will put together an informational campaign that will be shared with the businesses, be shared with the school, be shared with all other entities in the community, including the homeowners, the website, and possibly if we can find some way to insert it onto their water bill, their water and sewer bill, that the information is there. I've always found that that's the best way to actually inform homeowners through their water and sewer bill if it's water and sewer related. And that would be.
Okay.
Can we be more specific on the wipes? Because there's several different kinds. You've got baby wipes that are now advertised as flushable. You've got sanitary wipes that people use to wipe down their toilets when they're cleaning. And then you've also got the wipe that is for the toilet. So any type of sanitary wipe cannot be flushed.
Correct.
Yes.
And basically what the 2964, the House bill was that it actually talked about the ones that came specifically in cylinders, and it explained all of the various types. So they were not just going to ban one type, they were banning all types in the sense that it needed to be advertised that these cannot be flushed. And that's what it comes down to, right? We're going to stop people, at least we're going to have an emergency ban. But what it does is that it gives us 6 months to sort of feel out if we're actually making headway by doing the public informational campaign, right?
Will this be posted in the newspaper?
I hope so.
Yeah.
And that would be much easier to see. I never look at my bill. I just, it's the draft comes out and I don't look at it. So we do need to back up for people like me that would probably look at it. So,
And you know what we should do? And I think that maybe we should see if there's a pop-up that we can actually have when people go into their water and sewer bill. That there's a pop-up that says notice. And I believe that it probably will do that.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to have that discussion, right? So when people open up their water bills from now on, that pop-up message will be there and they'll actually have to click OK to close it to actually see their water and sewer bill.
Can you put it on the sign out here in the front?
There's lots of a full campaign.
Yeah, full campaign.
And I think that's what it is. So we take and we create this 6-month period to basically be able to create this informational campaign, and it'll give us the ability to actually go and find a way to actually permanently insert this into the code. And I mean, maybe Congress will learn something from us. I don't know.
And I have stock at home. I can print off a couple of little signs, do not flush wipes, and go to the different businesses, the bars and restaurants, and ask if they will place those signs in their bathrooms.
That'd be great.
You could have that advertisement at the movie theater as well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, there's a motion.
It's not up for, it's not
it's
up.
not up.
It's just a discussion.
Just a discussion.
So we can do a resolution.
Yep.
You'll help me with that one for next month.
I will.
Okay.
We could put it on the side of the jetter as well.
Did you hear that, Eric?
Bad idea.
Barry said, put it on the side of your jetter.
No, I gotta tell you, and this, I'm actually pretty proud of that jetter. We came out really good on that deal, and that thing, we caught a plug that was, somebody had put a 4-inch 90 that got sideways in an 8-inch pipe, and it took us all day to get it out, but that thing did it. So laugh about it or not, it earned that sticker. It earned it. Like, it seriously, I'm surprised that we didn't have big problems at the manor because of that. I mean, I'm shocked. But yeah.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it.
All right, Commissioner Selly, why don't you not start us off for commission reports this evening?
Okay. I picked up some the sketches. I don't know if you remember Lisa Roberts mentioning that she had sketches for Grandma's Park. So I picked those up, and there are 3 of them, and I actually left them in my car out there. But I thought we could maybe, put that on the agenda or something, and we'll pass them around and let y'all see them. I was contacted by a lady that lives over in the North 40, and she was talking about the construction remains and mess that lays around, and with children around. And I was wondering if we have any code and laws on to local residents, debris or building materials or anything that's left for over a certain period of time, if there is any requirements that individuals take care of their property a little bit better. Would that be zoning?
It would be in zoning, and there isn't anything. There's no
Time frame.
No. You have to resubmit permits if you start something and then don't finish it. We've had 2 of them now that had done it, gone through the process. 2 years passed and they're not, so they have to resubmit, but there's no timeline in zoning for cleanup. There's on the permits, there's adding that you have to put fence and catch around for materials, but that's it.
Was the concern with the children to do with scrap materials laying around or machinery?
From what I understood from her was like boards, the old, and so I rode through when, made a point to look that day over there, and it's more piles of lumber that have been left, nails, you may have metal, just anything that's laying around from construction. And a lot of these guys just move it over to another lot, especially if they own the lot or something, leave it sitting there. But there is ones that people just don't care. I mean, a lot of towns, you have a
homeowners association there.
Yeah, well, yeah, that probably needs to. I'm not part of it, and on my building. It's completely out of the little area there. It was set up like that by Josh and them, but yes, I mean, I don't blame her, for that. And it doesn't look good. It's, there are towns that, make you clean up. And if you don't clean it up, they'll send you a notice. It's the same as spraying for your weeds. And if you don't take care of it, then they will take care of it for you.
You could require a covered dumpster for building too.
To keep it from blowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, a covered dumpster. This wouldn't be the only town that's something out of the normal, especially windy as it gets. That's
A lot of
Good
our
idea.
construction jobs require you have, like a porta potty on the site. You have your own dumpster on the site anyway.
Yep.
There's also been people online on social media that's, outside of the city limits that are showing just all the debris that's piled up next to fences or this or that. So if it's blowing out of the water, the wipes, and then you've got other debris, I mean, that would help with serving, at least keeping the town a little bit cleaner. We're working on
That's
that,
everybody
so,
needs to actually secure their load on the way to the dump.
yes.
It's getting ridiculous. I sent Mr. Goggins Mr. Speck's number down at the high school because I know there's several seniors that haven't met their volunteer hour requirements to graduate, and thought that might be a fabulous place for them to fill their 20 hours.
That's a good idea. Very good idea. And then let's see. So that lady, also, I think that it would probably be a good idea. Just something I thought of. What if we had somebody, a local rep that maybe worked with us, that represented the town businesses? They just gave us their opinions since they don't have a vote, that they actually could just speak with us and say, hey, the vote doesn't count or anything like that, but they can tell us what the town business owners think. Have you ever looked at anything like that?
The chamber.
The Chamber of Commerce.
But the chamber doesn't come and show up or tell us what's going on.
We never sent an official invitation to play mediator. There's never been an official invitation sent either. So.
And there is a new, I'm not sure what the title is, administrator for the chamber.
Stephanie?
Yes, Stephanie's the
Yeah.
Stephanie Moore.
And Stephanie's really responsive.
If we're talking in plans and this, that, and the other, like Montana Main Streets, we tabled that we couldn't proceed and that we would revisit it in October because we didn't have chamber ready and up, and maybe it's that time now that there's a person there, a conversation, and let's get Montana Main Streets rolling again. And
I think that would be great to extend an invitation to the chamber for sure. Especially like you're saying, for business owners that live out of city limits.
They can at least have a voice and have somewhere to go to contact someone, and then that point of contact can speak to us, so it's not so many people going through the cycle. Give them some representation.
Yeah, and I think the chamber has 159 members, and I think we have 106 licensed. Is that right?
A little more than that.
Yeah. So, the ones that are within the community and the ones that actually are outside of the city limits, there's a variance of probably about 50 businesses.
There's businesses like my accounting firm professionals don't have to have other businesses.
Right.
So.
And a lot of businesses don't have business licenses. I've been told by several of them, they don't feel like they get anything out of it. It's not giving them back anything, and they're not even.
That's
not a business
requirement.
license, a chamber license.
I
I'm
was gonna say
sorry.
chamber, yeah.
You said I don't need a business license.
They
Yeah, I was
didn't
thinking about
visualize
being a part of the chamber since we were talking about that. So
Right.
yeah, I got off it there. But yeah, so, but I think it'd be a great idea. That way we don't have to do anything new really, except for just send out an invite to them and see if they would like to do that.
Great idea. We discussed it sort of last night at the meeting, that we need to build relationships and people who play an integral part of how the community functions. We need to have relationships with them.
Well,
Whether that
definitely
be-
with the chamber, because they do activities that represent Ennis, like the parade every year. They put that on, and it's a huge draw for all the businesses here. They all make money that
They
way.
could definitely benefit from a full-time position if they wanted to. And of course, they've been volunteering doing it, and that's a whole other subject, but yes, they're, to me, an integral part, just like the hospital's an integral part, the school's an integral part. It's all working together as one community.
I'll bet when their brand new building is up, that you'll probably see some real excitement within the community around the chamber. That's really what I think.
They're trying hard, I know that.
That'll be really good.
All right, I'll send an invite, and then it'll be good timing to kind of get us working back into Montana Main Streets and those little grants that would be available for them hosting some of the events, because there's Main Street grants that help them with all of the banners for the Hunters Feed and things like that, small community grants. So Billy, anything else? Or you have to wait?
No, pretty much this last month was just spent with sheriff's office stuff. Been really educational. I've learned a lot, and I am, like I told our sheriff, I am not the person that should be making policy for policing. I don't have that experience, but I ask a lot of good questions. So, but I do have one thing that I wanted to bring up. Our next meeting, I will not even be in the country. Taking 20 people to Belize. So.
21?
Yeah. So I will actually be on a plane somewhere over the Gulf of America when this meeting's going on.
You're not going to meet in, you're not going to, I know
Yeah.
it's horrible. All right.
Which brings up, I know we were talking about, and I just realized all this today, and these dates have been set for 2 years. I just realized if we're going to do the sheriff's thing next meeting, I feel obligated to be here, but I also feel obligated to take all my guests to Belize.
I think
So
Jim can present.
What's that?
If we're prepared, I think Jim can present comfortably.
I think we're good.
You can enjoy your trip.
It'll work.
I know, but you're still gonna have fun.
Oh, yeah.
That's the whole part of life.
And do what
Work and
Corey's
have fun
going
at
to
the same
do. He's
time.
going to get a separate phone that nobody knows the number. So he's going to basically disappear into the environment and take real time.
Month of June, I'm out.
So that's all I got.
All right, Mr. Nihon.
So 2 things. Last night we had the planning board growth policy meeting with the business community, and the business community really just led the show. They did an amazing job. There were 17 to 18 business owners there, and I can't tell you how impressed I was to have people to be so engaged, and for the planning board to be engaged in Great West. And I can tell you that from my perspective, it was a great experience. And I think that if we continue to work together, and if we continue to build relationships like this, that we'll end up with a growth policy that will actually take us through the next 5 to 8 years, and actually provide us with a good blueprint and roadmap to where we need to be and where we need to go. And more importantly, how we get there, to have the support mechanism of the business community and the community at large to help us get there. So it was a very good meeting, and I thank the business community for coming out and sharing their thoughts and being so engaged, and being engaged in the future as well. We are getting some incredible amounts of surveys coming in, and those would be merged with the surveys from the past. So that too is exciting. So we're looking to probably, by the time we get to September, to have a draft. And the great thing about a draft is we all know that we can go in and say, I like this and I don't like this. And it gives us the opportunity to actually make it a much more effective document. So that's where we're at. And the other thing that came from last night is that we began to have meetings about MTD and other things, right? And that we need to begin to build relationships like you're talking about, Commissioner, so that it's important to actually have the business community involved. It's important to be able to know the faces or the names of the people at MTD and be able to say, hey, we want to work on this problem, or we want to talk to you about this. So I'm just recommending that what we should do, if the other commissioners are interested, is that we probably should look and see if we could create a liaison list of different agencies and county agencies and state agencies and local businesses that we should have a relationship with, and actually have it so that we act as liaisons to maybe 2 different organizations, and then once a month or once every 2 months, we make an effort to actually meet with these people and to develop a relationship so that they know that Ennis cares. And the other thing that we mentioned last night is that it's important for the Ennis business community and the people who live in Ennis to contact MTD or whoever, contact the county commissioners. If you have something that is related to one of those agencies, when they're doing feasibility studies for things that are coming up in the future, they look back and they see how many people have called in about a problem or how many people have communicated about certain situations. Feasibility studies are the first thing to happen, right? Before you decide if you're going to move forward with the project. So I think that I would like to see maybe a list of the agencies that we think we should have a relationship with, and see if the commissioners are interested in basically taking that list and breaking it up and creating a liaison list. And I'm not trying to create more work for people, because I think once these relationships exist, then they're going to take care of themselves, and that we, I said it last night, and I really mean it. We have a very talented crew of commissioners, and we have a very talented group of people throughout the town, and people within government and the planning board. And now is the time to get things done, because while you have all this talent available to us, we need to basically strike while the striking is good, right? And I think that I would just encourage that we look at that for maybe the next meeting, and look at that liaison list and maybe get it out to people through the email, and maybe have people begin to decide where they think their strengths are with building some of those relationships.
Because all of us have a different little niche and stuff anyway, so we can look at it and say, hey, I already have a contact with this, or I'm more familiar with that, you know. And
this is a very talented commission. And, you know, I mean, when you look around the table here, we have people that come to the meetings. We're just a talented group of people, I think, and we should take advantage of the talent that we have and begin to make sure that we're steering the ship as straight as we can.
Other than this, Mitch,
So
you survived.
yeah, I survived April. This month I have attended a library board meeting and the first ad hoc meeting for the wage and compensation plan. And since that meeting, I've been spending time racking my HR brain on different types of benefits that we can offer that would make the jobs here more within the town, the government jobs, more attractive to qualified individuals. I signed up for a course related to student loan forgiveness within government entities. I did not make it to the webinar, but I have a tape to do that over the weekend to see if it applies here. That's something we can use going forward. I also have been thinking about the contract that is training Ginger and Brenna on the software and reconciliation. And I did send out an email late asking that we get an update on where we're at with that training. Ginger did provide some information, but I honestly think that when the town enters into a contract that requires work to be done, that we have an open item on the agenda to get a report on the progress of our work in the contract. An update monthly on a type of contract like this, keeps everybody accountable. Ginger can, tell us, like she did tonight, that women haven't been available. If they had to come here and report, we haven't been available, then we have some recourse to make a change to that, figure out we need to be here to do the job. So I'm thinking about a lot of things, and once the town enters into the someone has to. Just so that everybody's accountable. That we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because we all know that government spending, you don't get what you pay for. And it's very common and the public knows that. So if we're not keeping our contractors accountable, nobody's going to. So I honestly think that we need to start looking at adding that as an agenda item. Just on those contracts that require performance, like this one where we're requiring training. So anything like that, I think it's important that we get a performance report going forward. So those are my thoughts.
I think when you make a motion for them to be signed as part of the motion, it would be helpful to say which ones you want on a report. Do you want the IT's one? Do you not want the IT one? Do you want Great West's on call from January to be one of those? Did you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
As part of a motion when you're approving a contract,
There
whether
you go.
or not
Yeah.
you would like to have a
Yeah.
quarterly, monthly, whatever.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that the expectation is clear
From the get-go.
from the get-go, not in the afterthought. Yeah. All right, Corey, you be up.
So the Resort Tax Club has been meeting on a probably once every 3-week basis, and we're going to be potentially taking an entire van load of people to Red Lodge. It's the annual Resort Tax Association gathering, kind of facilitated by Danny Bierschwal, which some of us here are big fans of and some of us aren't. But yeah, and if anybody is curious what the agenda is, I would honestly just like to read these off real quick. First one, from statute to strategy, leveraging resort tax for property relief, for property relief tax. Property tax relief is what I actually was supposed to say. To tax or not to tax, the gray areas of ordinances and taxability. And then for my $25 fee, I get lunch. And that's establishing a resort tax while you're eating lunch. Compliance, crackdown, audits, and penalties, and playing by the rules. And then at the end of the day, they'll have just a regular membership meeting, which I've attended before. So anybody who wants to jump on board and go to Red Lodge, we'll be leaving at 5:30 on the 21st, which is a Wednesday. So
Tuesday is the housing summit in Belgrade.
Housing summit.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, there's a housing summit. in
That's the
Belgrade.
first one
Madison
out of
County.
all of them is the one in Belgrade, I believe. And then
Yeah.
they go from there for a few months.
Not housing summits, the league
Well, the
summit.
housing summit that we just had over here, but it is another housing summit.
Yeah, it's a housing summit.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is language and how it's funny. So every year, the Montana League puts out what are called summits. They are one-day training events. And guess what? A summit from the league is happening on the 20th in Belgrade.
Yes.
So your summit for the housing is also happening the 20th in Belgrade.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to go to the housing.
The league one, I will be attending because if you read the agenda for that item, there are going to be several bills that have passed that put our zoning in direct violation of Montana code now. Shocker. That doesn't happen every 2 years. And then the finance portion will be done as well. So
That's the one you asked me about, right?
yes, on the 20th.
Yep.
There's no registration fee. You just got to register. They feed you. I went to Livingston last year. It was amazing. There was a lot of talk about the Department of Weights and Measurements and building.
If anybody's
Well,
gonna
if you wanna
go.
go,
Yeah, I was
Stephanie,
thinking
we
about,
can commute.
so.
Let me know who's going where, so I know if there's a quorum that
Well, I
needs to
asked
be
Corey
posted.
about the one on the 21st, because I'd read his email about that, and I was curious too if anybody else wanted to go.
I plan to go. I plan to go.
Nice, good.
Confirmation, so I know what I need to post, so that people get to know where you are.
3 days.
There may be a quorum at this location, this location, this location for Summit A, Summit B.
It's busy season for summits.
So at the housing summit, and I'm sorry I missed that. Eric actually brought up the point that and it fits in perfectly with our claims, that we have a piece of property that is underused probably for us in the old water site. So at some point we should decide if we want to maybe start putting in a capital improvement item line where we would develop that property for housing units for staff, or if it's something that we maybe need to sell for another housing unit that is already done and or towards that for another piece of property.
Yeah. Eric took me up there the other day. It's a great.
I want the world's greatest basement.
Yeah, me too. It's a fallout shelter. I knew where I'm going. If it's a disaster.
How many acres is that?
I don't know off the top of my head.
It's got to.
I think it's a little over 2.
Nice.
I looked at buying it once. I asked the town if they wanted to sell it at one point. I was gonna cut a hole, put a ramp into it.
It's a great location.
It's a very good location.
Mhm. All right, so at some point we should probably actually put that on a plan. That property needs to be on a plan. It's time for it to be used in one way or
If it's
another.
paid for, that would be the cheapest option to provide housing.
Mm-hmm.
And right now with all that are doing through Montana Trust and places like that, I mean, it's helping, and with Mr. Jarvis, what they've got going on, it's a really good time to consider what you want to do with it.
And you're talking about the housing meeting last Friday. Is that what you're talking about? It was a great meeting.
Is there anything against drilling wells out there? Just curious. I'm sure that's an HOA, right?
Yes.
It is an HOA, as we just have our $100 dues on the claim.
So,
But
I mean,
that'll be.
maybe we could look at that to look at the wells around there and see what they do produce. Maybe that's a.
The hydrogeological study did not look promising in that area.
That's kind of what I thought.
It was not a good area. So if anybody wants to see that again, that's a good file if you want to read some.
And I was able to use some of the information from last Friday's meeting at the business meeting that we had last night. I mean, when you're looking at the three options with building, right? They have the SIF building, which is $160,000. For $200,000, you can do the prefab, and for $240,000, you can do the SIF build. So those are the three options that they detailed in the plan last Friday, which are very helpful to be able to look at both the numbers and what the structures look like, right?
Yeah. All right. I think that we should get through a couple things and then work session into that property and start making a plan for it. All right.
That would be the time.
Are we gonna have a work session later in this month?
Do we want to?
think we might have to get several things going on.
We need to get started.
Jim,
but
do you think that by the last week of the month, we could have enough to present at a work session, at least to kick around?
Yes.
I agree.
Which one? Which one?
The MOU.
22nd?
There's 22nd, 29th, it's the very last.
I'm out
Yeah, it
of
would
town.
probably be a week before that. Yeah. The 22nd,
22nd.
The second last.
yeah. Right there.
22nd, okay?
I mean, does it have to be a Thursday? I mean,
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah,
I can
I
always
I like
do it.
Thursdays.
okay.
But we're in Belgrade on
Not
the 20th.
Tuesdays, I have fire
and Red
training.
Lodge on the 23rd.
Just so that we're all
One to the other.
20th, 21st, 22nd.
Show going
Yeah.
on.
But you're 29th.
That Monday, Tuesday, Monday's Memorial Day. Wednesday, just Thursday.
28th. It's 8th grade graduation and I'm a shuttler.
Everybody else figure it out. I'll build my travel plans around it.
Do we just want to go 22nd? Do we think we can be there by 22nd?
Yeah, I think so. We can have something.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can,
All right, we'll do 22nd. We're just making it a week of,
Second half.
yep. All right. Thank you.
thank you.
I got
Remind her to say thank you for the special event policy. Thank you, Commission, because they're rolling in like constantly. And with the work on it, now I feel it's clear for the applicant, which is helpful. And something that's more consistent for me to be able to say yes or no.
When does that go into effect with town government like this? Do we have to wait like 30 days or is it,
It's
the
not in
second
an
we voted
ordinance.
today, is it in effect?
It's a policy for how to, and Montana code allows for you to regulate your own property.
I know what you're talking about, though. Is there like 7 days
Yeah,
period, right?
yeah. And I don't know.
Is there, have you heard of petition periods in the past?
I mean, yeah, I would recommend doing it like a resolution, so it was there's a record and do the 2-week notification, just.
Yeah.
It's a little more solid.
Yeah.
So
So it wouldn't need to be ordinance codified. Is what, so we can just simply do a resolution since it's a policy, it's not a full. Now, if it was an ordinance, we'd have a little stamp on the bottom that says if you violate this, I can't remember what it is, 1.14 something, something, something. This is the fines and penalties and everything else. And we don't have any fines or penalties or anything else in there. So I think if we did resolution, then it's enacted. Then, so we do a resolution even for 2 weeks from now to put it into effect.
Okay.
Because yes, I think we're at 4 or 5 special events. They're starting to roll in pretty consistently. I'm almost done with exposure. I've been back and forth with, I have to say, MMIA has been amazing. They're starting to work with me on the pre-hire physical policy and requirements there. It's just good. We're trying to chunk through the policy a little bit here, there, and yonder and pick the ones that are most important, address those first, and then that probably needs a complete overhaul. Ginger just put into my pocket that the codifiers are going to give us a quote for the whole system. They have their legal team look at our whole book, and most towns do it every 10 years. Some do it every 20 years. We haven't done it in Thank you. So that probably needs to be done. So they're going to put together a contract portion for them to look at it. It's looking like over a 2-year period, but it's close to 18,000. And then they go through the recommendations. It's by number of pages. I would say that there's some of it that we would negotiate out. I know a huge chunk of that is the floodplain that we just put in. They don't need to review it. I'm very comfortable that the DNRC and FEMA have done their job and done it well, and we don't need to spend the extra punitive. So there's some of those that I would just look at that. The pre-treat was very thoroughly went through, and that's very recent. But those older ones, yes, because I don't know how many legislative sessions we've gone through without updating the zoning. And if we don't get to it in the next 2 years, then it would be great to have the codifiers look at it and then make their recommendations of everything that needs to.
And it's nice that they have their own legal team there that is looking at our state laws.
Yeah.
So that's where it's been, mostly policy manual, those couple of policy updates. I really want them done. I thought that would be easier, but I'm always wrong. When it comes to, knock
That'll
that
only
out.
take a minute.
Send that back and forth
2 years
three
later.
or 4 times, lots of red lines later, you're like, yeah, no, okay, that was.
Do you know with the early 4th of July that we have a road closure agreement with MTD or?
The chamber normally
Chamber
does.
does
The
that.
chamber has the whole planning.
Anybody know?
What?
Does anyone know if they've done it?
That is not
I can ask Stephanie.
Would you mind?
done.
Yeah,
Yet.
I gotta call her back.
I think they're getting through one event at a time. So taps this month, and then as soon as they get those done, we just signed. No, that was farmers market. And I was like, I feel like we just signed one. Yeah, right there. All right, I think that's it. I'll see you on the 22nd.
I got one thing. If you got a
Oh.
minute. This only takes a second. Am I wrong that we need council approval to go after a grant? And I'm specifically referring to this tree grant.
If there's matching funds, then I think that
Absolutely.
and it hadn't been pre-approved in the budget, then yes.
Okay, so can
We have to identify that we have the funds there. So at the work session, you would like to review that?
Yes, and I'll see what I can do to move around and see if we can get that done. But it's important to me because that one tree without this alone is, almost 10 grand to remove. And it's pretty dangerous really where it's at. And the other 2 need cleaned up, and Karen does a lot out there with the children during the summer. So I think it's
I'll put this too. I didn't do it
By
written, and
then,
I
hopefully
shouldn't.
Karen will have the arborist out to give us an opinion on those trees.
I think she
Okay,
has.
Eric and I did a full walk around too with the Lions Club members. They, as part of our agreement, they do a 1-year update on future plans, what's going on there. So in our walk around there, the 2 major identified needs were same thing. They'd had estimates for tree branches, removal, cleanup. We've got big cottonwoods down there, and theirs was 10,000 as well. So we need to be looking at that property as well, and it's not just on the Lions. The town absolutely needs to find a way to participate in splitting that cost or covering that cost. The other thing that they're after or would like, if at all possible, is which direction? By the restrooms. There's 2 pads, concrete pads that are out to the side. Eric and Lucas had to remove the concrete table as it was broken. That was the one sitting spot there. And the other pad used to have a table as well. So they would really like, if at any point in our budget when we look at it, 2 picnic tables for, like, preferably metal ones, because they're abused more down there for those 2 spots. And they're $1,000 a piece when I priced them out. And then in our pricing, I'd like to put a sign down on the way to the dump with all the other signs. And I'll contact the sanitarian's office to see what they think. Goggin sent me several pictures of his property. I'd like to do that. Some of the bird's nests that have a ton of garbage in it, and some of the lovely pictures that I've seen recently of the river with garbage in it. Secure your loads, or it ends up where it's not supposed to. If you want to kill wildlife, somebody's livestock, please be aware of where you put your trash. And I think a sign down there, did your whole load make it here, would be a nice educational piece that reminds us all to make sure that it all got there, that it's not
Is that
being where it's
is
not
that
supposed
something
to
we
be.
can just put onto
Everything
the
else.
county? I mean, it's, you know,
Just the danger involved. I saw a gentleman probably about a week ago that a chunk of his load fell off in the middle of the road. And he pulled his truck over and not completely off the road, and he had to go in the middle of the road and keep on pulling the stuff off to stop it from being hit by a car. So did you even secure your load correctly? So the sign should probably say two things, right? Did your entire load make it here? Did you secure your load correctly? Because people just throwing things in the back of the pickup trucks and they're just driving down the road, and on a windy day, on a normal day, it may not blow out, right? But throw 20 mile per hour or 25 mile per hour wind in there, and all of a sudden it's in the roadway. And someone could get killed, they could get, seriously hurt. So I just think that I agree with you. We need to.
I think a sign right there is a perfect spot for it.
Yeah.
If we have to split it with the county, so be it. But
Tell them to smile for the camera and put a webcam on everybody going in and out of. I'm just joking, but I mean, seriously.
I think
But
just
yeah.
right there by Rocky Mountain Supply, you can see a lot of it.
Okay, now we're getting into government.
that's also another property we need to own.
All right, I think we're there. Anything else for work session? The grant, the resolutions, and we're good.
I'm assuming you guys will be talking about like House Bill 333 when you do your sheriff's
Yes.
MOU thing.
And on that, Representative Sprunger had that bill. I had a really good conversation with Representative Sprunger today on the intent of each section of that bill, because there's a little ambiguity between some of the parties on what the intent is. And so I worked with her on HB 589 as well, so I have a relationship with her. So I called her today and chatted with her about it. We talked it through, but she's going to write us a summary of the intent behind each of the three sections and what the intent was. And it's not a attorney general's opinion, but she drafted the bill. She sponsored the bill. So that's the intent of it going through.
It's all about who you know, right?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Would anybody like to?
Move to adjourn.
I
Aye.
All right, see you in 2 weeks.
How you doing, Michael?
Yeah, something. Hanging in there. You get to see my wife. Yeah, what she's looking like.
All day from straight here.
Okay, next up. Let her run.
Are you going?
We get these chairs from the library. You like them?
I was got the chair.
Eric and I ordered them last week.
That's nice. I was gonna ask about that too.
They should be over on the claims.
Right there on yes. And the claims. Did you get them?
Are you collecting money for the $25? How many people are going, you think?
Possibly 5 of us.
Okay. And do you want my $25? When do you pay the $25?
They're with I think it's a check or cash. I think were the two options.
Yeah, well, cash. All right. Well, the sooner we get that letter signed, I'll run a PDF or you run a PDF and we'll send it to Greg so he sees that it's on his
Sure.
Other than that,
Yeah, thanks for answering those questions. I was like, oh, I guess I don't know that.
Yeah, I put all that together today, and I was just
I made it up as I went, but it's government. It'll be 6 months
Sure.
at least.
I don't doubt it. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to go home and have a whiskey.
Yeah.
Can you get people to stop talking? I mean, right. Hey, just run on. You know, you've already said it 4 times. Why do you want to say it?
I kind of laugh because I'm like, I feel like pretty short. If I ramble, I get incomprehensible at that point. So I'm like,
To have all the commissioners get involved on sanitary.
yes, yeah. Absolutely.
Done by Dustin
Right now,
nicely
I think
tomorrow.
that's 100% clear, but
You have to come in the morning.
we all-
Okay. Or do you want me to just? You gave me that look like I want to jump on that.
Where did you go to ask that question? Where do you, these just stay where they're at, or? Okay.
Say many years make life work.
Thank you, guys.
But that's an automatic that we applied it to grant it the federal designation. All right, everybody easy. No problems. Yeah, man.
See you later.
Please get together.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have fun in Belize.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big group, so.
Oh my God, you're just a circus master, aren't you?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, the group, that is the second biggest group I've ever taken down. Yeah, when there's that many, all you're doing is running around.
Doing a head count.
Yeah.
Set them up with buddy system.
Yeah, exactly.
If your buddy's missing, we're gonna
Yeah, you
worry.
got a swim buddy.
But anyway, so when they say my business should be exemplified with 501c3, so then you're not taxed.
Yeah, I thought Mark, Bixel, and Kate, stood up at a gathering last night to the growth policy. Naming off, well, you can't tax, he was taking the liberty to name off a bunch of stuff.
Well, no, if they don't want to be taxed, come a 501c3.
Exactly.
I mean, go through the hurdles to do that.
Yeah.
To justify it with the federal government. But don't say, not me. Well, so.
Yeah, no, that's great. So you're the librarian